Welcome to Madison City Channel's Know Your Candidates interviews, co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Dane County. I'm your interviewer, Gail Bliss, and I would like to introduce Regina Vidaver, running for Alder in District 5. As we begin, please give us an opening statement about your educational, vocational, and civic experience you have, which prepares you for this office, and why you are running for Alder.
First of all, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you doing this work. In 1993, when I was deciding where to go to graduate school, choosing from sites across the country, there were three things that stood out when I came to visit Madison. Obviously, the exceptional quality of the University of Wisconsin's programming, of course, but also the surrounding beauty of the lakes and natural areas and the vibrancy of this community, including myriad restaurants, unique shops, community events and organizations, and needed services. And it helped that I met my husband here. So after moving away for a few years to work in DC, after we finished graduate school, we intentionally returned to raise our family here because Madison was so beautiful and so livable. My current position in my day job is with the state of Wisconsin, where I oversee chronic disease and cancer prevention programs at the Division of Public Health. That puts me in a place to understand the complexity of the lives that people, both in our state, in our county, and in our city lead, and the different things that go into making them healthy and well. In the nearly 4 years I've been on the Madison Common Council, I've gained a deeper understanding of the immense effort that goes into making Madison such a great place to live. From our work to increase access to affordable housing, ensure our businesses have the supports they need to succeed, reduce our carbon footprint, and keep our community members safe on our streets and in their homes, there are a lot of people working to keep Madison thriving. I am so proud of the work I've already done to contribute to our community, and am seeking another term to continue this positive growth.
How would you evaluate the city's current efforts to address homelessness and increase the amount of affordable housing? Are there additional steps the city should take to address these issues?
I think one of the things that it's really important for people to understand is some of the limitations that we have at the city level. So we have state preemptions that keep us from being able to require developers to include affordable housing in new developments. We also cannot do rent control. So we have to take other matters to do affordable housing work. We have massively increased the Affordable Housing Fund. This helps us both build new dwelling units and also rehabilitate existing ones. We have the Energy Efficiency Navigator program that makes these smaller multi-unit family dwellings more energy efficient, which saves them and brings them back into affordability, but also improves our climate. We have first-time home buyer credits as well. We also have some city-owned properties. We're going to have a historic opportunity to redevelop the Brayton lot on East Washington, and the city is going to be able to call the shots on what we put into the request for proposals. We are actively working on developing a purpose-built men's shelter, and that is going to be a truly transformational space for men experiencing homelessness in our community. We are continuing to invest in families and women who are experiencing homelessness and work collaboratively with all of our social service partners to ensure that other supports, whether it's job access, whether it's getting access to a driver's license, whether it's getting into behavioral health counseling and treatment centers, those are all part of the process that we have to continue to work on to ensure that we are meeting the needs of people experiencing homelessness in our community.
What actions or programs would you support to enhance public safety in Madison? And in particular, what is your position on the use of body cameras by Madison police officers, given the recent demonstration project?
So it's important for folks to understand that safety means different things to different people, particularly in different communities. So for some people, safety means having more police on the streets. For other people, it might mean not having them there, depending on the experiences that they've had. Again, those social supports that we provide for people in our community, ensuring that they have economic opportunity, that they have excellent education, that they have a place to live, that they have their healthcare needs met. Those are all things that help reduce crime in our community. One thing that I really, really stress is our CARES program. So this is our program that sends trained behavioral health specialists instead of police to appropriate calls. When we have CARES people on the scene, there's only a 2% conversion rate to needing police at those calls. I've been a strong supporter of that program and will continue to be because it is working. Body cameras are complex. In my personal opinion, that should be just part of what the standard police kit is, along with the guns, the tasers, the badges. However, we have to understand that because we don't have them now, the expense of adding them is quite significant, estimated between $3 and $6 million. And as we just saw with the referendum, Madison is experiencing a structural operating deficit that is currently closed with the help of taxpayers. And if we continue to add more burden onto that, it's just going to make us have to raise taxes even more in the future. And we really have to understand the balance between what we want to get from our community and what we want to give to our community. So it's really a place that I think we need to think very carefully about as to whether we move forward.
In the wake of the recent referendum to increase property taxes, what are your priorities for the city budget?
So the number one priority is not to let it grow anymore, basically. We are trying to keep even operations, so ensuring that we have staff that are supported to be able to do the jobs that the people of the city expect of them. When we talk to people about what services that they expect high quality services here, and we provide them as a city. And so it's important that we continue to do that, but that we keep a very tight lid on any additional growth. We are going through a compensation study for city staff right now, and that is very likely going to show us that city staff are probably undercompensated compared to their peers in other areas. And we're going to have to make really difficult decisions on how we address that, because we do want to keep excellent staff in the city and at the same time control our budget. So it really is about maintaining a high service level without adding very much new at this point.
How would you balance the need for development with other concerns such as traffic, historic preservation, and conservation of natural areas?
This is always a balance. And it's really important that we understand the historic beauty of existing, historic properties. Also, our natural areas are really critical. There are ways to do smart infill development that does not impinge on these goals. We are in the midst of a housing crisis in Madison and Dane County. The Dane County Regional Housing Strategy shows that we need about 7,000 new units a year for the next 15 years, and we can't ignore that. So we have to really balance that space of being able to develop those new properties and rehabilitate old ones that are existing and that maybe just need a little TLC, with the very real desire to maintain our historic properties and to maintain our green space and the beauty of our community.
What are the most critical issues that you see facing the people in your district, and what would you propose to address these?
Honestly, in my district, the number one issue is traffic and traffic safety. So we are working collaboratively with the neighborhood associations to ensure that we're collecting information, that we are identifying what the priorities are for the neighbors in this region, and to make sure that we are then communicating that to traffic engineering and the Madison Police Department for traffic enforcement needs. We are seeing really concerning issues of speeding, of ignoring red lights, ignoring stop signs. And these are things that obviously we can't control to the person, but we can put in engineering aspects that help control traffic flow such that it is safer, particularly for our children, for our elderly, and for those using mobility assisting devices, as they may be slower or less aware of the area around them. So that is something that I have worked on and will continue to work on in my next term.
What would you like to say to the viewing audience as we complete this interview?
First, I wanted to thank my district for entrusting me to be their representative for the last nearly 4 years. I'm asking for their vote to continue that partnership. I have been and commit to continuing to be someone who listens, collaborates, reaches appropriate compromises, and works hard for the continued growth and prosperity of our district and city as a whole. I will protect our historic districts while welcoming appropriate infill growth to ensure housing is accessible and affordable for people in our city. I will continue to advocate for our community's health through common sense approaches that center our well-being. I will work with traffic engineering and enforcement to ensure our streets are safe for our children, elderly, and those using mobility devices. And I will be a tireless advocate for our climate, moving forward with transportation and sustainability initiatives that help us meet our goals of net zero carbon emissions by 2050. I hope to earn your vote on April 1st and hope to see you at my campaign website at reginaformadison.com.
I want to thank Regina for speaking with us and to thank the viewing audience for taking time to know your candidates. I want to remind everyone that the general election is Tuesday, April 1st. Every election is important. Please vote. On behalf of Madison City Channel and the League of Women Voters of Dane County, I thank you for joining us.